Welcome to the live webinar, folks, traders with Admiral Markets. My name is Chris. Nenad is also, of course, with us today. Together, we're going to take a look at the UK general election of 2017, an unexpected one that has only been subscribed or has been permitted or granted or approved, let's say, in April of this year as an unexpected, unscheduled one. We're going to dive into all the details connected to the political consequences, but also, of course, the effects and what we expect on the financial markets primarily. So before we take a look at this live Admiral Markets webinar, please note that it is shown to global audience but may not be suitable for everyone. Please visit admiralmarketsglobal.com, select your country of residence, and contact the appropriate entity for more details and information. Also, please note that trading for exchange and global financial markets is considered high risk. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. This webinar is for informational and educational purposes only. By continuing watching this webinar, you agree with this disclaimer and you are aware of the risk involved when trading. All right, here's an image of Nenad and myself. We'll be talking about many topics today. I'll kick off actually with a bit of a, let's say, an intro to what has happened, what we can expect with these elections, what kind of impact they're going to have on a whole host of political, geopolitical, economic consequences, basically, for not only the UK but the EU as well, and even the global, the world, basically, right? So the globe. So first of all, before we dive into today's topic, I wanted to make you aware of the fact that Admiral Markets has a special dedicated page to this political event. It is a big one, so you might want to check it out with some interesting graphs like the one you see in the screenshot here, showing, for instance, the current market reaction to the election, and you see 5 instruments right there. And you can also basically find the webinars and articles when you scroll lower. This is the start of the page, so when you scroll down, you'll find more. You can find out more information by just clicking on this at the top of the website. If you go to admiralmarkets.com, you'll find this button right here. Just click on it and you'll be brought to this page. Here's the link. All right, if you're watching the recording, you can type this link as well, and you will be able to see the info there. Among other things that you will find, not only the articles and the webinars, but also basically a poll and some interesting graphs like this one, who is popular at this moment according to the media. So take a look who is being most talked about as well. So those are some interesting things that you can find on that page. All right, so how did we get here, first of all? It's been a bumpy year. It's been a long year, actually, since exactly a year ago, since June 2016, when the referendum took place. And a lot of things have happened in those 41 years since the UK joined, when they had a referendum to accept the EU membership. This is how the map looked like. A lot of green. Everything is almost green, except basically, as far as I can see, 2 islands, and a lot of it is dark green. And look how that changed 41 years later, last year in June. The sentiment totally flipped in England and Wales, and it actually did not change as much in Scotland and Northern Ireland, as you can, or actually it flipped in Northern Ireland as well, but from actually to a Remain point, right? And no, I'm looking at it the other way around. Sorry. No, it depends on, it's about, here you have blue and here you have green, so it's about 50-50. Scotland definitely stayed green, and obviously Wales and England went into heavy blue, which means exit. So a lot of things happened in those years, and although the difference was only, of course, as you know, about 3.8%, I think, or 3.7% gap, still, although it was close, it was also a large gap. You know, it depends on how you look at it. It isn't a 70-30 gap. Obviously, that would be tremendous difference. It was going to be a close call either way, 50-50 or something around that. But still, you know, from that point of view, 3.7 is still a decent gap, but of course remains small relatively. So let's take a look at the timeline. June 2016, we had the vote. Then Cameron resigning. He was in favor of staying with the EU membership. Therefore, hence, didn't think he was the right leader for the UK. Theresa May took over, although she was in favor of the UK staying. She took over the leadership as the Conservative Prime Minister and got the approval of the Brexit in the UK Parliament. That took some time. The referendum was only basically a voluntary recommendation, not something that was obligatory to follow according to the law. So she needed the approval from the parliaments. So she got that. That took some time, but by March this year, the Brexit was triggered. And then she had a change of heart. May decided that it was time to have elections and not time to continue with her government and her time in leadership. So she wanted to get a kind of a consultation with the public to see if she was going the right way, I guess. She said that she wouldn't have new elections, but in April she changed her mind. It was approved by the parliament with the necessary two-thirds majority. And that's why we're here. That's why June 2017, we're going to have new elections in the UK. And soon after, about a week or so after that, the EU and UK talks are starting. So that is pretty fast, but it is needed because there's only a 2-year window, as you might know, between the triggering of the article and the forced or automatic, I should say, exit of the UK out of the EU. So there's not much time left, and these things do take long to negotiate. When we're talking about trade deals like this, years is very common. It does take time. I mean, 2 years is actually what I've read quite short to organize so many things and discuss so many things. So, from that point of view, June, 2.5 months have already been lost in a way. So I guess it's about time that these talks do take place. So that's why we're going to start after the UK elections results has been known. Well, so from that point of view, these elections are going to have a big impact. Now, the Conservatives have been in power, as you can see, since 2010 with Cameron, the last 7 years. Before that, Labour had a long stretch of 13 years, and before that, the Conservatives had a long stretch of 20 or 18 years, I should say. So they've been handing each other kind of the power back and forth as a pendulum, in a way, swinging back and forth. And the UK has a bit different way of counting votes. It is the district winner that takes all of them, if I remember correctly. So you could actually have 10% of the votes, but very little seats. That's what happened with the Liberals. I think it was the Liberals last in 2015 that had quite a decent number of percentages, but not that many seats actually. So you need to win your district in a way to get the seats, as far as I remember. So from that point of view, you need about 320, I think, or 315, somewhere around that ballpark figure of seats to take the majority and take the leadership without a coalition. In 2010, the Conservatives needed a Liberal Democrats, I think, to support to get a coalition and get enough seats to rule the country, right, to govern. 2015, they didn't. They had a majority of seats and they could just rule by themselves. No coalition needed. They didn't get 50% of the votes. And that's because of the way that let's say the districts are counted. All right. So I think they had maybe somewhere around 35, 40% of the votes, but they still had enough to govern the country. All right. So that's just a quick introduction. Here you can see the popular vote by party in general elections from all the way from 1832, and you can see the red and the blue dominating basically the 20th century and the 21st. Leading all the time. basically in the top two and alternating each other. All right. So let's see what we can expect in 2017. Um, and let's dive into that right now. So the Conservatives had actually a few weeks ago a very sturdy lead of about 20 percentage points, which is massive. As I said, you don't need an outright majority to govern. So if you have 20-point lead, that is a massive advantage. And some speculation maybe was there whether May decided to have those re-elections because of the polls that were so in favor of conservatives at that point. We don't know, of course, if that was part of the reason. Only May and perhaps some close group of advisors knows that. But certainly they were in a good position regarding the polls. That basically picture has substantially shifted in recent polls. Labor has closed the gap to 3 points. First, remember, it was 20. Now it's 3. So there's an enormous shift in those numbers in the last few weeks, and the momentum is on the side of labor. Whether that momentum continues, no one knows. Or it will stall. That remains the main question of obviously the next week, and then eventually, of course, the results next week, Thursday, on the 8th of June. We'll find out the final count. Now, with 38 and 41%, you can see the seats estimated. 311 for conservatives and 255 for labor. So still only 3% gap, but despite that, still 56 seats gap there. So that shows you the power of getting a majority in districts like that. All right, now the rest, Liberal Democrats, as you can see, they partnered with the Conservatives in 2010 to 2015, 9%, but only 10 seats. So you see how dramatic that goes. And you see the S&P, 4%, but a potential 51 seats. So that has everything to do with what I just mentioned about the fact that the SNP, which is the Scottish party, will get majorities in certain districts and hence, therefore, more seats than actually the Liberal Democrats that might get some good percentages, but not enough to win the entire district, and therefore, hence, having less seats. All right. May, by the way, was not debating, which I personally, if I might comment that, do not think is a very smart strategy, but personally. But who knows? Maybe there's something of a secret in that strategy that I don't know about. But I think not engaging in such debates is probably a missed opportunity. Of course, there is someone else representing the Conservative Party, but it's a bit odd, I think. I was a bit surprised to find out about that. What do you think? Do you think it helps her, or do you think it helps the Conservatives, or do you think it weakens the Conservatives? Let's do a quick poll here. S for strength, W for weekend. Let's see who thinks what. So do you think May not debating in the debate recently, I think it was yesterday, is that a good move or a weak move? She said that she didn't want to have get into some discussions in front of the TV. I think it's a weekend, but let's see what you think. Let me know. In any case, it's going to be an exciting race with the polls now at this stage closing in. Now, obviously, the winner is going to have to, if they get an outright majority, which remains to be seen. If they do, things are pretty straightforward. That's the party that's going to govern. They're going to implement their plan, and they're going to negotiate the Brexit with the EU, especially if it's the Conservative Party, of course. If it's the Labour Party or the Conservatives do not get a majority, it's going to be a bit messier because of the fact that there has to be a coalition found. Is it possible to do so? And if the Conservatives don't win, how will the other parties approach Brexit? Which is one of the questions I think that we will have to see. So yes, this is going to be uploaded. No worries. It's going to be uploaded to YouTube. So are we going to have a clear winner? Specifically, probably conservatives. Are they going to win clearly? Then the process of forming a government and negotiating is going to be tough in the sense that the Brexit negotiations are just generally going to be tough, but it's going to be clear. If not, well, I don't think Labour will manage to make a outright win. I mean, considering the polls of the last few weeks, but maybe they'll get enough seats to block the Conservatives of an outright win. In that case, a coalition is needed, and then it's going to be a turbulent time to get a government together, and then how will they negotiate the Brexit? So it's going to be a little bit more question marks around this whole process. So that's going to be, this is, from a political point of view, extremely intriguing and very interesting process going on right now. And if you like politics, this is something you want to follow, and this could be very interesting. So two people saying not good at this moment. The most, and no one saying good. So looks like most of you indeed thinking that that's not a strong move. So regarding Brexit, of course, that's a big, maybe elephant in the room. I'm not sure if that's the right expression for this particular moment, but it's something of a massive topic, and it's going to weigh in a bit, but obviously it's not the only topic. And so it's kind of a difficult thing because the decision has been made, the referendum has been taken, the parliament has already voted, the Article 50 has been triggered, the process has started, the negotiations will start soon with the EU, yet it still is kind of a topic as far as I can see, right? So I'm not sure how active this could become. I know that the Liberal Democrats are in favor of staying in the EU. I don't think they will get enough seats, though, to muster anything of an important, that they can be able to have an attempt to change the outcome there. That doesn't seem likely. I think that if the Liberal Democrats, in theory, would have enough votes, they might even try something like a second referendum to see if they could change the outcome. I'm not sure what will happen with the Labour. I don't think they will go that way, but we'll see. Conservatives, obviously not. Here you can see a graph which party people think would handle Brexit best. And that's the Conservatives. And maybe my guess, my hunch is the fact that the Conservatives are maybe a bit more, showing strength in negotiations in general, whereas maybe the left show more willingness to compromise. My guess here at why that could be. All right, just a few more graphs, and then Nenad is going to take over to discuss, the implication of the elections on the financial markets. But this one you might find interesting. What issues do people think are the most important? As you can see, Brexit definitely on the top of the list. So there are strong sentiments here. There are probably people here voting for Brexit as an important topic because they want to leave, and a lot of people saying, I don't want to leave, right? So a lot of strong sentiments on both sides of the equation. That's why it was also narrow, specifically in Scotland and London. They wanted to stay. England, Wales, outside of the cities mostly as well, wanted to leave. And you can see still a very important issue. Health, immigration, economy form the top four, and then you see a deep difference or a wide difference between economy and housing, welfare, education. All right, so health, immigration, economy, very important. My guess, immigration probably more important for conservative-leaning voters or UKIP, United Kingdom Independent Party, and health probably for the left and Labour. Economy probably shared by all, I would say. Now, regarding Labour and its view on Brexit, all right, here you see that nobody is quite sure what Labour is thinking about Brexit. This is a poll, and here basically, the pollsters are asking, from what you've seen or heard, what do you think is the Labour Party's priority for Brexit. So what is Labour going to do? No one's quite sure. 42% not sure. And those that do have an opinion, the rest of the 58%, are totally spread all over all four of the categories, either a hard Brexit, soft Brexit, or staying in the EU. So it seems that no one is really knows for sure at this moment. So we'll have to see. But it's interesting. By the way, you need 326 seats. I just wanted to quickly look what that number was. I remember it was something around that ballpark figure, but now I have the exact number. So let's quickly just go back to these polls. So with 311, it would not be enough, and there will be 15 shy. So, but if conservatives, notch it up to 326, then that's it. They have enough. So that's going to be the magical number there to keep an eye on next week, Thursday. I think this is the last graph. Imagine Labour fought the next election with the follow policy towards the EU. So if Labour was saying, we don't want Brexit, no Brexit anymore, we're going to fight for that, roughly 50% would be happy or slightly below it. What is it? 45? And about 30% would not be happy. A second referendum, you got a lot of happy people and a lot of unhappy people, right, as well. But a lot of people don't really have an opinion, don't mind, or don't know yet about a hard or soft Brexit. I think it has to do with the fact, again, just my guess, with the fact that these details are just less clear. What are the exact details of a hard Brexit, soft Brexit? It's a bit more detailed oriented. You need to know a bit more about what's going on exactly about those proposals. So people are less sure to give an opinion, and you see that the gray or beige fields are a bit bigger, in those two categories. Second referendum, no Brexit, of course, it's very clear what those policies stand for. So people tend to have more an opinion on those matters, either favorably or unfavorably. But for those that, imagine Labour fighting for the next election, you can see a slightly, I would say, more in favor of a Remain kind of view than a Brexit. But it's not a huge difference either, is it? It's not like it's 60, 70 versus 10%. It's not that. All right, so just a summary, actually. It's going to have, the elections are going to have impact, obviously, on the internal politics, right? What is going to be spent on healthcare, social services, education, infrastructure, obviously the usual impact. This is typical election time, of course, so you have whoever has the win is going to have the impact on the next 5 years, in this case of the UK. It's going to have impact on the foreign policy. Labour is less in favor of intervening abroad. The Conservatives are more engaged, showing more engagement with their military, with their basically their strategy to be involved with, in Afghanistan, for instance, just to give you an example. So that is a difference as well. The leader of Labour has already mentioned that they don't want to proceed with this as much, as I saw in an interview a few weeks ago. So that's another difference. The Brexit position, potentially, who knows? And of course, the economy as well will be an interesting debate and difference there. Then you get, of course, that is internal. Then you get external differences. The position of the Brexit. Will Brexit happen? Probably yes, but if it happens, what kind of position will be negotiated? Its impact, therefore, on geopolitics. The UK leaving the EU is a large geopolitical decision for the UK and the EU. All right, so that's going to be massive. The global economy as well, and the UK economy, obviously, and its part in the EU, and financial markets in general. So it has far-fetching consequences, as you can see. It's difficult to dive into all the details that we can expect. This is just to give you kind of a framework at first glance. When we have the results, we're going to continue this debate. We're going to discuss the result at hand and see how that's going to impact the next weeks and months. Then we have a concrete scenario to work with. Now we have a couple of things that can happen. We're not sure which one is going to happen. When we have the result, then we can take the next step, and think about how that will impact the UK and the EU in the upcoming weeks and months, and of course the financial markets too, which is what Nenad is going to discuss right now, in fact. So enough political talk. Let's take a look at the charts. Hi, Nenad. Let me
Hey,
pass.
Chris. Excellent introduction. Yeah, I will show the chart. Just give me a few seconds and I will show it. So basically, there are some very interesting pairs to trade. I would now show you. Okay, here it is. So I will show you what we could trade during the elections. So the first thing is, okay, which markets will be affected and how to trade it. The thing is that, as Chris already said, uh, well, the market is probably pricing in conservatives' victory, and that could be good for the pound. But now, if you watch my webinars and if you watch how I did setups, market is interestingly enough, market is a bit short before the elections. So that implies that a lot of traders and investors are actually exiting their pound positions simply because they don't want to carry the risk over to elections. Now that gives me a slight bias towards thinking that the market has already priced in a bit of conservative win, Tories win. But the problem is, what if that win is not that strong? So my suggestion is, now I will talk, of course, from my perspective and how I see it. My suggestion is that you don't generally go long pound dollar before the election. Now, a day before the election, you can see it here. This is the data from Kensho, and this suggests basically how pound sterling performed before and after UK election. So basically buying sterling on the trading day after the election result and selling it 30 days after gave just an average return of 0.32%. But buying sterling one trading day before and selling it 3 days after gave an average return of minus 0.56%. So what I think is basically the market will have a rally. Probably that will be a relief rally if we see a conservative win, but that rally probably will not be long-lived. And honestly, I don't expect that big volatility for these elections. So this is, as I say, the summary of the average return since June of 1983. Buying sterling on the trading day after the election result and selling it 30 days after gave an average return of only 0.32% according to Kensho stats box. And buying sterling one trading day before and selling it 3 days, it was a negative return. So my conclusion is that market is shorting GBP before the elections because of the risks involved, and because of that, relief rally is expected after the election. Volatility probably will not be that high, let alone we cannot simply judge the volatility by watching Brexit. I think, and my personal opinion is that volatility will be a lot lower. Of course, you should use definitely volatility protection setting, but I don't think that pound dollar will be whipsawing as during Brexit. These elections should allow Prime Minister May to consolidate and, let's say, establish a strong hand over the majority in Parliament. And that will definitely provide a better scope for, let's say, transitional arrangements, and the probability of hard exit is lower. So that could definitely spike pound dollar. And my opinion, and this is the vote on Brexit negotiation. Okay, so conservatives are expected to win. GBP dollar will go up on May's announcement, but majority or coalition for Tories, conservatives, probably will bring the GBP down. And that is what also investors are probably thinking, and that is why they are very, very cautious before these elections. Because if conservatives got into a coalition after the elections, it could be negative for GBP dollar. And now you can see a covering, investors are exiting their positions, and basically that could definitely bring the GBP down. So, you know, it's a bit risky to trade it, let's say, put an order on Friday and then wait for your order to develop. Although we might do as we did for French elections. For example, I traded French elections and I posted that trade alive. Still, there is a risk in the market, you know. So if you're betting that conservatives will win, then probably the best option is to put a GBP long. But as I say, if on a slight chance that they will not have a majority or that they will need to make a coalition, definitely, my opinion is that it will bring the GBP down. So that is the risk you need to take. It's not like it's black or white. Now at this point, we see also a shade of gray. And because of that shade of gray, I will definitely prepare a blog, and it should be published during the beginning of next week with exact setups how to trade Brexit, how to trade, UK snap election. Definitely it's the vote on Brexit negotiation, but it's not the Brexit itself. So I will assess the analysis of FTSE, GBP dollar, GBP yen, and all those pairs and markets that should be interesting for you to trade. And I will do it just a day or two before the election. So our information from the chart should be, should be adjusted to the time. So we actually have the latest information on charts. Because if I give you a setup now, it will not be valid. We still have 7 more days till elections. So I cannot say, okay, you can go long here, you can go short there. We still need to see what the price will do in next 5 or 6 days. But generally speaking, this is what I would do. If I knew that conservatives would definitely win, I would put a nice long on GBP dollar, GBP yen, and FTSE 100. I would do it. But simply because I'm not sure whether they will have the majority or they will need to make a coalition, I think I will, at this point, I will stay until I see the latest polls, the polls of all polls, and then I will make a final call. And as I say, expect a blog entry on that. I will write a blog. It will be probably published on next Monday. So Monday or Tuesday, so you will still have a day or two to prepare for possible trading setups of UK snap elections. As we know, liberals oppose Brexit, while Labour Party supports Brexit. I mean, they still are defining some points in Brexit, but this is how it generally looks. So market trends are definitely up now. We have some profit taking, and we see that, but market trend is that conservatives win, GBP dollar up, GBP yen will probably be even more, it will have some better options to trade if conservatives win, simply because the range of GBP yen is much higher than the range of GBP dollar. So I think that if conservatives win, GBP yen will spike much more to the upside than GBP dollar. So I think that GBP yen could be a good trade for a UK snap election. I think that GBP yen will perform the best, at least better than GBP dollar on conservative spin. And also, what I think is that FTSE could go also to the upside. Now, I will open the chart and I will elaborate on everything that I was telling you. So here, you can see that FTSE definitely is going up. The trend is very strong on this index. And here you can see T89 patterns, T89 bullish patterns that were suggesting that the price will spike to the upside. Now, latest, let's say, couple of days, we can see some sort of consolidation in the market. And that consolidation is basically also due to general uncertainty. Market has priced in conservative win, but latest polls suggest that their win might not be that strong. And because of that, we see some potential for a bearish wedge here on FTSE. That leaves the place for a potential short trade below weekly L3 Camarilla pivot towards weekly L5 should some surprises happen in the market. General trend is to the upside. We have a full support on FTSE at WL3, also ATR pivot point, and also there is still a big room to the upside. But guys, watch this. This is an X cross of WL3 and a ascending trend line. So if this happens, it could go down. Now, if this is what I'm seeing, let's say a day before the election, I would give you a definite setup, short here or long there, but we still have 7 days of price action, 6 days of full price action until the elections. So do not hold me for the word how you should trade it. How you should trade it will be explained in the blog. But at this point, it's more than enough for you to know what I think it might happen, generally speaking. Also, pound dollar, as I said, you see what I'm saying. Even on 4-hour time frame, we see profit taking. Guys, this is profit taking. The market now is definitely pulling out of GBP dollar long. And here you see a break of trend line, a retest, and a possible continuation to the downside before the election. So that is why I'm saying now at this point, I will probably be selling rallies on GBP dollar. And you will see a new setup for GBP dollar possibly tomorrow or maybe even on Monday, but tomorrow is profit-taking day. So if we don't see a downside price action today, I expect that pound dollar could be sold tomorrow. I need still to see the daily close, and I might come with new analysis of pound dollar tomorrow. But at this point, it's clear that market, yes, it's NFP tomorrow, I know, that is, but I'm not sure how NFP will actually, how it will move the GBP dollar. It will move it, but not like dollar yen. Dollar yen is more susceptible for NFP. But still, I expect a profit taking, a much heavier profit taking on pound dollar. At this point, I'm not buying pound dollar dip just because of the elections, not because of general trend. I will probably be focusing on selling the GBP rally. Yeah, that is what I see at this point, especially because market now is trying to get below WH3. This is weekly H3 pivot point. It's already below monthly H3, below weekly H4, below EMA 89. It's trying to make a possible T89 here. It's breaking a trend line. It's a retest of a trend line. And until I see a clear close above these levels, I think pound dollar could still drop before the election. After the elections, on a conservative win, this could spike to the upside. So that is what I'm seeing now on GBP dollar. Also, GBP yen. You know, guys, this is uptrend, but very similar to GBP dollar. Just take a look at the last 7 days of price action, just for your reference. 101 pip of ATR and 129 pips. So you see, GBP yen is much better performer. Honestly, guys, I prefer to trade GBP yen And lately, I'm making a tons of pips on GBP yen shorts. If you followed my trades on session recap, you know that I actually am shorting pound yen, and now these rallies are actually used to short the pound yen into. So at this point, I still think that pound yen can be shorted. And also don't forget that this is the order block here. This is the order block, and the pound might simply close below this order block. That could be another sign that pound yen is dropping. If you take a look at weekly charts, this is also suggesting a drop on weekly charts. You see it's capped below all monthly, quarterly levels, and now it's trying to go down. On weekly chart, this is downtrend. On 4-hour chart, this is uptrend, but because this order block is taken out, price broke through Camarilla H3, H4 to the downside. Now it seems like an H4 trend is aligning with weekly trend. So I think pound yen down before the election. Of course, as I say, if conservatives win, then probably pound yen will spike. But we could probably use that spike later to short into the pound yen after the election. So that is, at this point, what I see in the market. If you have anything to ask, please go ahead and ask me. As I say, the blog will be published probably on 5th or 6th of June, and there you will read about setups for all people and traders who want to trade UK snap elections. But as I say, you need to be patient. We still have 6 more days of price action before anything happens in the market, right? Until then, I will probably be shorting pound dollar and pound yen rallies. I will not touch FTSE simply because FTSE is a bit bullish, but rather Forex market, pound dollar and pound yen will be probably, and how I see it now, until the elections, I might be short on rallies. Okay, so that is important for you to know. So that was everything I had to say. If you have any other question, please go ahead and ask me. Still, in my opinion, pound yen, pound dollar, FTSE, those are markets that will be interesting to trade. Of course, I might take a look at GBP Swissy also, but due to correlation, you will be probably double or triple exposed to GBP if you decide to trade UK snap elections. So I don't see any questions, any comments. I assume that everything is clear. This webinar will be uploaded to YouTube indeed. So stay tuned to further analysis. Pound dollar, pound yen, possibly before the elections, we will see shorting on rallies, while FTSE might still go up until this trend line that I showed you breaks to the downside. I will show you again just to make sure you take a note of this. Okay, pay attention to 7523.88. Below that, it might go to 7502.78. Still, this is before the election. So don't confuse trading before, during, and after the election. It's your bet also. As I say, if I knew that conservatives would win, I would place probably a heavy long on pound dollar and pound yen. Still, that will be possibly be just a spike, and later the price will correct because market is probably already pricing in conservatives win. Any other surprises, GBP, dollar, GBP, yen, FTSE could drop heavily. I hope you enjoyed. This webinar is recorded, will be uploaded. I will talk to you very soon. Thanks everyone, Andy, Tibor, Brian. Thanks a lot and hope to see you soon on live trading webinars. Cheers guys and trade safe.